Hello everybody and welcome back to part 4 of What If Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man, was in the My Hero Academia universe. Now if you haven't seen the previous parts, I really suggest you do so before continuing this video. They're both in the description below and the annotation above. Also, please consider showing your support by liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you're new. So previously, Peter fought in hero combat training and together with Mina Ashido won against their opponents Koda and Sato. Afterwards, Peter went to the lab and kept working on his support items. Now we start our story on Peter's way to school, where right at the gates, Peter, like the other students in the anime, gets ambushed by paparazzi asking him what it's like to learn directly under All Might, to which Peter answers it was fine. He seems like a very great and powerful hero, although after the class he did leave in kind of a hurry. Well, if you don't mind, I kind of have to get to class now. Now, like in the anime, the class has to choose a class president. In this case, Midoriya gets 3 votes, like in the anime, but this time they're from different people. He gets a vote from Uraraka, Ida, and Peter, and becomes class president, whereas both Peter and Yororozu get 2 votes. Peter gets a vote from both Midoriya, who gave his vote to him, and Sato, who liked Peter's fighting spirit, and so both of them become vice president. Like in the anime, Ida, Uraraka, and Midoriya sit down for lunch, except this time they're joined by both Peter and Harry, who come to sit with their Peter and Harry. Now the alarm goes off, and everyone starts panicking. When they are in the hallway, Peter tries to get up on the walls to not get squished by everyone like everyone else, and as he's trying to do so, Ida gets up on the wall and calms everyone down. Later, Midoriya gets everybody to agree on getting Ida to be the new class president, and Aizawa says that he talked to the principal, and because of Peter's special curriculum thingy-majiggy, he is not allowed to be vice president of the class. So Yororozu gets the spot, and Midoriya says to him that he's sorry, that good luck next time. The next day, All Might fights villains on his way to school, like in the anime, and exhausts his time limit. By the time he gets to school, Aizawa takes the students to the USJ in a bus. The interaction there goes very similar as in the anime, except that when Asui says that Midoriya's quirk is a lot like All Might's, Peter says, "I don't think so." You have to take into account that every quirk is unique on its own. There may be some that are very similar, like for example me and my brothers and my parents. We all have similar quirks, but they're all unique in their own way. Kirishima also says, "Yeah, and you are forgetting the important thing. All Might doesn't break his bones. That's a big difference." Asui says that's true, but to what Peter said that only applies inside families, Peter quickly answers to that. "That's not true. I know a family back in New York and Brooklyn whose kid in the family has a similar power set to mine, and we aren't related at all." Bakugo flips out like in the anime. Peter just jokes about it, making Bakugo even more mad. They arrive at the USJ and they meet 13, and she explains everything as they are walking in the gate. In the middle of the explanation, a loud scream can be heard, "Ah!" as Peter falls to the ground. Everyone says, "What's happening? What's wrong with him?" Peter says something's about to happen, like in a lot of pain. Aizawa sees a portal opening in the middle of the facility. Shigaraki and Kurogiri come out of the portal, and more villains start popping up. Aizawa runs to the middle and says, "13, take care of the students." The villains have their little exchange about All Might, where they threaten to kill the students. Midoriya asks Peter if he can walk, and Peter says sure and gets up. The pain in his head has dissipated. The students and 13 try to evacuate, but on their way to the gates, Kurogiri warps to them. As Kurogiri explains that they are the League of Villains and they are here to kill All Might, 13 gets ready to attack, but right when she does, Kirishima and Bakugo attack Kurogiri as Peter exclaims, "No, wait!" And Kurogiri teleports most of the students to random locations of the USJ. Now Peter gets sent to the conflagration zone with Ojiro. It's the area that's on fire. Like the city area that's constantly on fire. And we're going to be focusing on this. Like, this happens while the events in the anime happen. This is where I assume that, what was his name again? Can't Stop Twinkling was sent to, that Aoyama was sent to. Where he encounters some villains. Some minor ones that Ojiro keeps distracting and fighting like in the anime using hit and run tactics. But Peter has to fight the Moltenman, a guy whose quirk allows him to superheat his body. The Beatle, he has some powers of a beetle and wears armor to protect him. The Spot, a villain whose body is full of portals and can open them himself and acts as a pocket dimension. The Looter just has super strength and agility as long as he ingests gases. Vermin, he's kind of a human rat that is cannibalistic in nature. And Tombstone, whose body has properties of stone, like he's very strong and resistant. And can't speak very loudly. He can't speak. He cannot scream, that's the point. He doesn't talk too loudly. As Peter spots these villains together, he says, "Oh, there's 6 of you. It's quite fitting." Tombstone says, "Look, boys, the Hero Academy has sent a little bug for us to squash." Peter jumps in the earth and shoots 2 webs at the sides of Spot and catapults himself to hit Spot while saying, "Why does everyone get this wrong?" Looter then jumps at Spiderman, but before he can hit Peter's spider sense kicks in and warns him. He evades while saying, "Spiders aren't bugs," punches the Looter as strong as he can, saying, "They are freaking arachnids!" Peter hits Looter so hard that that Looter hits the ground twice before hitting the wall, knocking him unconscious. After this, Peter webs him up. Then Tombstone charges at him. Peter jumps, evading the attack, but Beetle swoops in, tackling Spider-Man in the air against the wall. Peter gets up, saying, "Ah, you got a good hit, and lucky shot." Moltenman attacks Peter, and Peter tries to web him up, but his webs just melt. Peter only has 4 villains left to take down. Problem is he can't touch one of them because of the heat. As Peter is trying to think of a strategy, he's also evading Vermin, who is trying to slash at Peter. Tombstone pulls his guns out, saying, "Playtime's over, kid," and Peter responds by webbing his eyes and face while saying, "Ah, no toys yet." Peter then jumps on top of Vermin, sticking his feet to his fur like he would to any other surface. Then he does a backflip and throws Vermin against the wall, knocking him unconscious. Then Peter webs him up, just to be safe, just so he can't escape. He then says, "Alright, 3 down, 3 to go." Now Peter's strategy is basically to evade the Molten Man while fighting the other 2. Peter then gets tackled by Tombstone, who freed himself from the webbing on his face. Peter says, "Ah!" in pain. So much pain! He then swings up to the building in front of him. Tombstone prepares to shoot with his guns, but Peter just takes his guns and says, "No toys!" The Beetle just tries to tackle Peter, but he barely evades. Just like that, Beetle is out of commission because he kind of hit the wall with his head. He was expecting to hit Parker again, says Peter. Peter then jumps to the ground and grabs Tombstone with his webs and throws him into Molten Man, knocking them both out. Since he's knocked out, Molten Man cools down and Peter webs them both to the wall. Peter then says, "Well, you guys were very sinister," kind of out of breath. He then falls to the ground and forces himself to get up. He's saying, "Better go help Ojiro, Parker. He might need your help." And he goes to do that. After Ojiro and Peter take down the villains and lay down exhausted and hurt, Peter says, "I need a nap." I'm taking a nap if that's okay, Ojiro. I'm really tired. Ojiro says, sure, you heard it, pal. And then the heroes arrive. Like, the heroes arrive at the USJ. The day is saved. Everything proceeds exactly as in the main continuity, except of only Midoriya going to recovery go because he was the only one injured. Peter also has to go because he sustained a lot of internal injuries. And when Hagakure congratulating Ojiro on a good job, he says, well, I survived mainly thanks to hit and run tactics and later thanks to the help of Peter in the recovery room. In the recovery room, Peter sees a weak All Might and sees some similarities between him and Big All Might and realizes, wait, you're All Might. To which All Might has to explain the situation the same way he explains it to the other teachers, like that his powers has weakened over the years. Once Peter's injuries are healed, he wishes Midoriya a good recovery and returns to class to get his stuff. Too much had happened for one day, so his extra support class was cancelled. Peter went to the lab, wrote a couple of notes down since he took them after the battle, like mental notes, he wrote them down, for how to better his tech and send the final registration for his improved web shooters for the upcoming sports festival. I hope you have all enjoyed this episode and the series itself. It's really fun to do. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and feel free to leave suggestions in the comments for the series or for stuff to happen in the series, whatever. Go wild in the comments, what I'm saying. Next is the sports festival. Until then, goodbye, guys.